hush. How are you, buddy? Good morning. You sleep good? I'm on a podcast.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey,
Say hi.
hey, little
Wave.
guy.
Special guest.
That's a good way to start it. I like it.
John, Pat Murphy is joining us today, and that means the defending NL Manager of the Year and the guy who's leading the team with the best record in the major leagues.
Well, he's not only doing a great job, but he is a great talker. You should tune into his press conference after Brewers wins or even losses. His whole family's there, join him. But I mean, he has got a way with words, and I'm anxious to have him back on. This is, I think, probably the third time he's been on, and he is an absolutely great guest.
Yeah, we'll be talking about all things Brewers, Misiorowski, their secret sauce, Chad Durbin, Nestor Cortez, who came from the Yankees. I'm sure we'll get to that. We'll talk about Aaron Boone, who is certainly not handling post games Murphy-esque right now, and the Yankees are not playing good baseball. We'll discuss what they and the Mets will be doing before the deadline. John and I will play hit and error at the end if you stick with us on the show with Joel Sherman and Jon Heyman. John, on one hand, we have two New York teams in position to make the playoffs, but it has been hard to watch the Yankees recently and see anything but that all the problems that helped cost them a World Series last year have manifested again. John, you know I've led the chorus that they're not good at baseball. I did it all last year.
You
They,
did.
they added two players who are good at baseball, Cody Bellinger and Paul Goldschmidt, and somehow they still look. Aaron Boone could tell me a good defense. They're buttoned up. I mean, they suck at this. They suck. And it is John. I'll make one analogy and then I'll let you run with this. Is I did it on the Yankee webcast earlier. We're of a certain age. When we were young, one of the better heavyweights was Ernie Shavers. He was a top contender. And Ernie Shavers was a one-trick pony. It was a hell of a trick. If he hit you on the jaw, the fight was over. He had a unbelievable punch. But if he didn't hit you on the chin, he had very little else to win the fight. And it carried him to great lengths. He was a great heavyweight, but it didn't carry him all the way. I think the Yankees are Ernie Shavers. If the ball goes out of the ballpark and they get some power pitching that day, they're fine. But if the other team decides it's an actual fight and puts the ball in play and forces them to play the way the Blue Jays have for a couple of series now, the Yankees go into the follies. It's not high level performance.
Yeah, it's a competition. Are they going to out-homer their mistakes? You know they're going to make mistakes and they're going to hit home runs. Which are they going to do more of? That's basically what it's come down to. The Blue Jays are not a good matchup for them. They have the best contact rate. They strike out the fewest times in the American League. And, you put the ball in play against the Yankees, good things are going to happen for you. I mean, I'm with you on the signings. Bellinger and Goldschmidt have been what you'd expect, really. I mean, they've been good defensively. You would think that would have helped, but I think we've seen regression, and you've covered it on your own show on the Post ad infinitum about Volpe and about all the other guys who have been making mistakes. I don't know. What can they do now? I mean, they're not going to sell. I know internally you've got people who are pretty upset the way things are going, and that's reflected in Boone's comments. He knows what everybody thinks internally, and now he's willing to say that, we got to do better, which for him is really a slam. But what can they do? What can they do? Can you replace Volpe at this moment? You're going to need a third baseman for sure. You're going to have to overpay if it's Suarez. They're not selling, right? I mean, I know that they don't look like a playoff team right now, but they're in playoff position, right? And they got there last year with a similar team, even without Bellinger and Goldschmidt. So we know they're not selling. What can they do?
John, I just want to go back to the idea of the besieged Aaron Boone. He has portrayed this, and he's been angry these last few days, like he's being besieged. I like to not be the guy on the lawn. I'd like to not be the in my day guy. I think most things are better today than they used to be. But if the people who are around the team now covering the team take exception to this, I don't think Boone's asked very tough questions very often. And it's certainly not at any volume. I think that press conferences where you don't really get to follow things up like we used to by being in a manager's office. We used to have 3.5 hours in a clubhouse. We really got to talk to players. You got to know everyone. You ask pointed questions, whatever. I think that the press conferences and the internet have turned everybody soft because nobody wants to be criticized on the internet for being too tough on these guys. So nobody asks or too few people ask tough questions. So this besieged act by Boone is a problem, I think, because I could tell you there were previous managers in that role who were much more besieged at bad times than he is now. Number two, look, I can't believe the grandson's son, brother, and himself a major leaguer looks at this and keeps telling me that it isn't what everyone else is seeing. And at some point, you're going to lose credibility if you keep saying up is down and left is right. And John, I think both of us, I don't want to speak for you. I like Aaron a great deal. I think Aaron is a good baseball man. But this tone, I don't think it's helpful. And I just think that the players not have enough of a fear level to be able to perform at a high, like that this really matters. Like it's one thing to say, hey, you got to do this. And another thing to say, you're going to sit if you don't do this. I'm going to talk to reporters about it if you don't do it. You want to concentrate now on 90 feet? We got Pat Murphy coming on next, John. Want to watch the Brewers play a couple of games and see how much they respect 90 feet?
Right. Well, he's not going to threaten to say anything publicly. We know it's been established. He's been
But why not?
there a long
Why not?
time.
At some
He's
point,
not going to. This
But John,
strategy has paid off for him
yeah.
in spades. I mean, look at his career. He's making now $5 million a year. He's been there for a very long time. He seems to enjoy the job, other than the last few days, maybe. That's not going to be him. I hope behind the scenes there's more accountability than you would imagine based on his public comments. There may be, although it's not manifesting itself in good, solid play. So I'm not sure that there is. I don't think the questions are that tough generally. And, half the people in the media either work for the Yankees or MLB or they're affiliated or whatever. And, it's not as tough as it used to be. But I think publicly to his social media, he probably even if he's not reading his mentions, as you've told me not to do, he probably hears some of that. And I get it. And I do think that he can feel besieged based on that. I see that. But what I'm worried about is the accountability of the players. Is it there? Because Volpe has regressed. Overall, their defense has been poor. Their base running is not good. They're not doing the little things. And that's frankly on Aaron Boone, who everybody likes very much. You're not the only, everybody likes him. And that's kind of a long way for him. His career is flourishing based on being a very nice fellow, very good-looking fellow, makes a great appearance, does a great press conference, unless you're listening very carefully and hoping that he says everything exactly as it is. But he's not gonna change publicly, but I hope it goes on privately.
Yeah, well, John, I think that the manager has very, very few pulpits from which to speak from to try to draw this out of players. And look, it could be we're watching Goldschmidt and Bellinger, besides whatever talents they have, they're just good base runners, good defenders, know which base to throw to, hit cutoff man, etc. They don't wear off on the team. They both have both great two-strike approaches, right? Like, I will never figure Volpe out. Like, if you want to be Dustin Pedroia without Dustin Pedroia's hand-eye abilities or a level of confidence that's staggering, and you want to try to launch to the pull side without the green monster, good luck. Go for it. But with two strikes, watch how Bellinger uses his legs. Like that creates some stuff. Do you get enough hits or homers with two strikes if you're Volpe that you shouldn't have a two-strike approach in year 3? So I don't know that like nothing seems to be wearing off on kind of the fundamental technical side of the game. John, look, we're a week out from the trade deadline. You said it. No matter what anybody might say internally, externally, the Yankees aren't selling. They aren't staying neutral. They're going to try to improve this team. There are some obvious places they can do this. I know for a fact Todd Green, who's among the most important eyes for the Arizona Diamondbacks, has been on Scranton Wilkes-Barre AAA for the Yankees. So I'm going to take that, whether the Diamondbacks are yelling, "We're selling" or not, I'm going to take that as a sign that they're going to move some guys, including probably Suarez, because they have Lawler to play third base when he heals from a hamstring injury. John, what do you think they'll do to what level?
Well, I mean, Suarez is the guy. I mean, the guy's up there with Raleigh and Judge and Ohtani for the home run leaders in all of baseball. He's been great. He's a great guy. I mean, they basically have a hole at third base right now. They have two backups who are sharing the job, both batting well under 200. So that is the guy to go for. Ryan McMahon would be a decent pickup as well. But I mean, I think there's a pretty big gap between Suarez and everybody else. But they're in a situation now where anybody would help. I mean, if they just took IKF or Ahmed Rosario or an Hifo and traded somebody and put them in, ended up with, let's say, Rosario, put them in for a week until the deal's finally done. Because I don't know if you can live for another week with what they've got going on at third base. I mean, yeah, I mean, since you mentioned Volpe, I mean, he grew up in the Derek Jeter era, right? And Derek Jeter went the other way consistently, right? And it's better to go the other way at Yankee Stadium anyway. I'm not sure why he has in his head that he needs to pull the ball and lift it. The whole team as a team is too analytic, back to the home runs or everything and analytics, and we're going to win this way. The teams that are putting the ball in play, whether it be Houston or Toronto, are back. That's back now. I think it's a cycle, and they don't do that. But they probably need to get two infielders and get people who play the game right. Trying to figure that out. Because they're not going to learn how to do it with the Yankees, I don't think.
Yeah, I think the nicest thing I've known you about 40 years, John. I think the nicest thing you've ever said is you described Yormet Vivas and Oswald Peraza as backup players. I don't know that they're AAA backup players. At this point, I mean, look, you're
I
hitting
don't know.
130
But
in the major leagues, and like even like Peraza's defense has come down. Like that's the reason
I don't know
he.
what happened to him. Remember when he was held out of a Luis Castillo trade? I mean, I think it was him and Volpe that they wanted, but the Yankees didn't want to give up either of them at the time, right? I mean, it's hard to judge these prospects. People will grade some system as great, and they'll turn out to have very little, and it'll be the opposite. But it's not a perfect science, but it is. He has been disappointment, and that's why I think they probably need two infielders. A starting third baseman and a guy who really plays the game right and can play every position, including shortstop, because I am concerned about Volpe at the moment. I mean, I think he's going to have a good major league career, but it must be in his head right now. It's not right. And maybe he's affected by everything that's said because, I mean, I think Boone generally protects the guys who are getting hit on the most, who are getting criticized, but, he's been like a mother hen for Volpe, and he probably understands that it's affecting him. Probably Volpe's not going to say it out loud, right? He's not that guy,
Right.
but it's probably affecting him.
Yeah, John, with everything you said, I agree with, and yet I think they need pitching more than anything. I think that they could run out. Like every time I watch Max Fried's hand bleed, that's not a positive thing. Has Will Warren hit a wall here a little bit? I think they really need Luis Gil to come back good, and they need at least one, if not two starters. I think they need two relievers, one of whom needs to be 11. I mean, for a team that is in playoff position, it feels to me they need a lot. Just before we
Yeah.
end this
Yeah,
segment,
let me just say on the bullpen, Luke Weaver has come back to being what he was last year now, and Devin Williams has been really good since a terrible start. But yeah, you can't survive with two guys who are really shutdown guys. Circle of trust needs to be more than two. I know Hill's done a pretty good job at times, but they probably need another lefty as well. But you certainly need a third guy who's in that high leverage situation.
yeah, and losing Fernando Cruz certainly hurt them. They should get him back in September. Just quickly, John, let's give some thought to the other side of town. One thing I'll say, and again, this is a picture right now, but I think the Giants, the Cardinals, the Diamondbacks, some of these teams have begun to kind of fade. I think the Mets are in a comfortable playoff spot. I don't think the Yankees are in quite the comfortable even playoff spot. Forget about catching the Blue Jays.
Which is funny because we all thought the National League was better than the
Right,
American League.
right. But I think the
Yeah.
Mets are, the question is, are they going to win a division, which they've hardly done in their history, overtake the Phillies? I think we know the Phillies have already done David Robertson. This is Dave Dombrowski's team. They're getting another relief pitcher. They'll get an outfielder. So in these last few days, how active do you expect the Mets to be? I think we both think it's going to be about the bullpen. What do you say?
Yeah, I mean, the bullpen is clearly the need, and absolutely have to add to the bullpen because these guys are worn out, frankly. I mean, the starting pitching did a great job for the first half of the year, but they did not last long into the games, right? So the bullpen pieces, they're all a little bit diminished based on that. Now, I do think Stanek and Garrett looked good the other day against the Angels, so take it for what it's worth. But the bullpen is clearly the key. I mean, give McNeil credit for getting in there and playing center field, but I think he's a second baseman. I think at this point, they're probably their best choice at third. I would look to get a center fielder. There aren't a ton of options out there. They're probably not bringing Bader back, who's actually having a pretty good year. Is Laureano a center fielder again? I mean, he's got a great arm. He's having a good year. To me, I would go get Quan and put him in center or Nimmo. Now, is that taking a little bit of a chance in center? Maybe, but right now you've got a second baseman in center field and you're upgrading your offense. To me, Beatty has done so well defensively at third. I feel bad about Vientos, but he was so great last year. But I mean, Beatty's out hit him as well. So he's out hit him and Mauricio. So I would go with that lineup, but I would add to the offense. Look, they're like 13th or 14th in runs. I think they're better than that because a lot of it's because they haven't hit in the clutch. If they hit in the clutch, they'd probably be 9th or 10th. But they're not the best lineup in baseball, so I think it can use an upgrade as well.
Yeah, they need to reacquire 2024 Mark Vientos, that version of Alvarez. That would help them a lot. I wonder if Cedric Mullen, who's not having a great year, but still could pop a ball over the fence, steal a base, play center field, hit left-handed, which would probably help their lineup. I wonder if he's a guy who does it.
Yeah,
But
it's probably more likely than Quan. Quan's not really that likely to be traded. Cleveland's they're smart. They listen on everybody. But since they're listening, I'm imagining. But Mullins should be traded, right? He's at the end of he's not having a great year, though. He's really not. And metrically, he doesn't look that good on paper.
But you know what? I asked some people who watch the Orioles often. They say we look at the metrics also. We think Cedric Mullins a very good center fielder. So
he looks good to me, but
yeah,
I mean the metrics are not great.
Yeah, the metrics are bad. He's going to get traded, I would think. I just wonder if a pennant race would galvanize him. Like, hey, he's not in the team that drafted him. Hit seventh, hit some homers, steal some bases, play the hell out of center field. I wonder if he's a good match for them. Look, a team that will probably be active a little bit in the next few days, but they seem to be a team with a lot, is the Milwaukee Brewers, shockingly. As we speak, they've won 12 out of 13. They had an 11-game winning streak where they went 6-0 against the champion Dodgers, and their manager, Pat Murphy, will be joining us next. John and I are thrilled to be joined by Pat Murphy and family. Look, it's hard to do better than Pat Murphy's done, right? He's year 2 of the job with the Brewers. His team won the division last year. He was named manager of the year. What's the encore? Hey, I know it's only late July, but the Milwaukee Brewers traded Devin Williams and lost Willy Adames in free agent. They have the best record in the major leagues. They recently had an 11-game winning streak. As we're talking, they won 12 out of 13. And again, just to reemphasize, best record in the major leagues baseball belongs to Pat Murphy's Milwaukee Brewers. Murph, thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Really a pleasure, guys. Really a pleasure.
Murph, obviously you're a team of great interest and you try to drill down on why their success. And just from a distance, you can't win without talented players. So it feels from a distance, talented players, pitching depth. And I don't know if any team honors 90 feet more than yours as kind of an overall fundamental, well done thing. Do we have the Milwaukee Brewers?
I think that's it. I mean, they're hungry. That's most important. They're guys that probably aren't household names. People don't know Isaac Collins or, Blake Perkins, or they don't know a lot of these names that are helping us. Caleb Durbin, Joey Ortiz, but these guys, they value 90 feet, and they value defense. They value staying in the game, and they value competing all nine, and then you throw in Sal and Bryce and Churio, and then you got our leaders in Contreras and Yelich, and you know, yeah, it's kind of a good blend. We need each other. It's Princeton basketball, Gonzaga basketball. You know what I mean? It's just like we're not a big market team. We're not going to go sign a bunch of free agents, and I think it then comes down to the who, right? The who these guys are, and yeah, I'm pleased with that part. I mean, everybody had us counted out last year. Everybody had us counted out this year, even more. But yeah, it speaks to hungry players who play hard.
Murph, I mean, the Brewers, you talk to other players, teams, whatever, they always say the Brewers do the little things. I mean, there's some of the big teams don't do the little things. I'm not going to name names, but I can see how you get them to do the little things. But I should ask you, how do you get them to do the little things? It seems like nobody does
Yeah,
them better than you guys.
I I don't think we do them that good, to be honest. I wish we did them better. Um, but I think we put an emphasis on it, and I have to look to my staff. I mean, they're baseball guys, and what I mean by that is they're guys that value, the technique, and they value the mindset of a player. A lot of them played themselves and knew how they had to survive in the game, and what they wish that they had done more of. Um, and yeah, I mean, I think it's just a matter of buying into the philosophy that, you're going to win pitches, and everybody does. I mean, we don't have any secret sauce, guys. We really don't. We don't have a secret sauce. Um, it's just like you said, we value 90 feet. We value a lot of things but other teams can do it in a heartbeat. Um, Maybe I wear our guys out. Maybe I'm too much. Maybe, who knows? But yeah, we're having fun doing it.
Other managers should wear their guys out, Murph. That's me saying that, not you. You talked about all the little pieces that kind of make the jigsaw puzzle that is the Brewers. It's hard to ignore you might have a star blossoming on your team. Jacob Misiorowski came up. He's kind of had a Fidrich without the bird stuff impact, both locally and nationally. He made the All-Star team after 5 starts, which seemed to bother people. Not me, by the way. I like stars there, and it looks like he might be a star. He certainly's fit the part. I looked. He's struck out like 40% of the guys he's faced, 35.7, 40 of 112 batters. He's got a 2-something ERA. Tell us something about Jacob Misiorowski and his ability to sustain this for the long term.
Yeah, I mean, he's real. And you could not have predicted, if you watched his minor league stuff, you couldn't have predicted how this just blended together so nicely. I mean, he is Forrest Gump out there. You talk about Bert Friedrich. I think that's a great analogy. Like, I was around for that, and I was enamored by this guy who so authentically went out there and competed in his way. And I think Miz, in today's world, it's hard to get that. And Miz is like that. And I couldn't be more thrilled for the guy, because generally he just really, is a great person and loves his team and loves his teammates. And um, yeah, it's
For
beautiful.
the 10th year in a row, I'm going to be wrong about the Brewers. I was in spring training with your team. I wasn't sure who your third baseman was. As Joel had mentioned, you'd lost Adames before. The year before, you lost Burns. The names weren't necessarily there. Well, you do have some good, very, star players. You have a few. What did you think in spring training? Did you see this coming? Did you think you would be this competitive once again?
I wasn't certain. I didn't spend a lot of time thinking about it. I think you have to keep your head down and worry about today. And I think that when you start looking ahead and thinking like everyone else thinks, and thinking, predictions and what we should be, and what I mean, it comes down to that pitch, and to try to get yourself in that now mindset is very difficult, but it is contagious. And when others around you are thinking that way and not getting ahead of themselves and not worrying about, I'm an inch from the top and an inch from the bottom, John. You know what I mean? We're an inch from being really good, and we're an inch from being just the team that everybody thought we were going to be. Like these guys didn't do anything over the offseason of any consequence that would shake up the media ranks, but we did do little things that helped us. And we didn't do, that people don't know the names of Isaac Collins and those things, but we knew that we knew how to play baseball the right way, and we didn't know. God knows how that's translated. I don't know. There's some awful talented players out there, and we just go out there and say, "Hey, we're going to play hard today, and let's see what happens."
Murph, look, his name has come up a bit here. John's mentioned third base. Caleb Durbin is a guy who was
Ooh,
part of the Devin Williams trade, and he feels like he was born to be a Milwaukee Brewer. I'm watching a Yankee team that lacks a third baseman. I mean, Devin's pitched much better over about the last month
right.
and a half, but over the last, I looked at it like since late May. Durbin's hitting 311 with an 850 OPS, 12 extra base hits, 5 stolen bases. That's 42 games. It's a quarter of a season. That's
And
not nothing. Tell us a little bit about Durbin.
well, he's the epitome of a winning player. Like there's nobody in the big leagues that wouldn't want him on their team. Like he just does things. He could play about anywhere, and he's willing. You want to talk about hungry? This kid's hungry, and he's one of those guys that I think you'll see around the league for a long time. Just because he's got this ability to just adjust and do things, and strong-willed. Yeah, it was a great pickup. A great pickup. Now Devin is a great pitcher, and Devin will continue to flourish and do well. We lost a lot there. There's something to be said for those last 3 outs. The Milwaukee Brewers have been blessed with Hader and Devin, but losing those guys, it's a big loss. But Durbin has given us, in his own little way, Durbin has given us just a factor of just toughness. And you got to see him. And I wish there was a stat for like key situations, what this guy does, because he makes hard contact every time or gets hit by a pitch. I think he's leading the league in hit by pitches. He's only played half the time. Like he'll do whatever. He ain't getting out of there if the ball's close to him. So you're going to pitch him in, guys. Get ready because there's a real chance he's either going to take it in the elbow or the back um, or hit it. One or the other. He's a
So,
throwback.
yeah. So I was going to mention Devin Williams was mentioned. So I sorry to bring this up, but obviously the Mets knocked you out last year. How tough was that? You looked like you were in
Ugh,
position to win that game. It seems like the big market teams, for whatever reason, somehow seem to have an advantage. Maybe it's just a small sample size, but in the postseason, uh, How did you deal with that defeat? And is there such a thing as an advantage to the big market teams in the
I don't know about
postseason?
that. You guys know about that. See, you guys let your mind go there, and you guys analyze things and analyze a game, and I find it helpful if I don't do that. Like because that I hear the information, but I don't put too much into it. It was a devastating loss. I mean, it was devastating for a lot of reasons. Internally, we kind of knew that was Bob Uecker's last day, and it may seem a little bit, um, like you might not realize the impact that guy had on a day-to-day basis on our team, and just his presence and watching all that. Um, some of us knew that's likely his last, and that was very hurtful. Along with the fact that we got basically walked off when it was in the bank, the 2-0 lead with Devin on the mound. He had been so great for so many years, um, and he left the pitch out over to Alonso. And credit to the Mets. That's it. Credit to the Mets. They did what they had to do. So I think, and I told the team after the game, I said, "Look, guys, somehow I don't know. I know these words are true, but I'm not sure. I'm not totally sure that what I'm about to say is going to come true or whatever. But somehow this loss is going to help us. Somehow this loss is going to galvanize us. Somehow."
Do,
And I believe that.
do you think it has? I mean, is
I don't know.
part of 20 games over 500 best record in the sport is part of that the sting of last season?
I'd like to think that they haven't forgotten. And I know a guy like Yelich, and I know Sal Frelick, and I know Bryce Terang and Joey Ortiz and Hoskins. I just know that William Contreras, I know those guys felt that pretty deeply. Uh, Trevor McGill, some of the pitching staff, Freddie Peralta, who's been so incredible. I know they felt that. And so I'd like to think they remember it.
I want to ask you about your career. I mean, you've been had a great success story. You were terrific at Notre Dame, which I think you followed as a child in upstate New York and Arizona State. But here you are, you're about my age, and you first got your full-time major league managing job last year. You were manager of the year last year. You don't have to say it, but at this moment, you're probably in the lead for manager of the year again. I mean, you've got a lot to be proud of, but are there any regrets about not getting in that major league job sooner? I mean, obviously
Yeah, I
those
mean,
college
yeah,
jobs are big and you did
there you
great with
go.
it, but
There
I'm
you
just
go, though.
interested.
There you go, though, John. You want me to look back. You know what I mean? I look back trying to drive a car here, and I'm an old man, like you mentioned. I'm old like you.
My age,
And,
yeah.
well, yeah. Oh, it's old, John. Trust me. Uh, and then you're driving a car and you can't look back because you got kids in the car and you can't look back. I mean, you got to look forward. Regret, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I really feel grateful. I really feel grateful. I almost look up and say to myself, "Wow, you know, um, how lucky am I?" I mean, authentically, that's what I say. I spend a lot of time with my kids. That's my life. 4 children, and but when I'm not with my kids, I like being alone. And with that, I like reflecting on how lucky I am, how great, and I stay grateful. That's all there is to it. It's the key in my life. It brings me the greatest amount of happiness is that I just stay grateful and don't think back. My career is what it is. I'm under construction. I'm still trying to develop into understanding this role that I have now better in today's world. And I mean, that's all I can tell you. I'm just trying to trying to help these guys, trying to impact players so they can have what I have. You know what I mean? They can have that peace and that gratefulness.
Murph, I think I'd be uh, regretful if I didn't do the other part of the Devin Williams trade, who's Nestor Cortez, who I think has made
Uh,
two rehab starts through 5 1/3 1-run innings. I think we're talking on Thursday. I believe he's got another rehab start today.
Today. Yeah.
Uh, can you tell us, how's that going? And if things go well today, does he come back to you and slot into your rotation?
I think he does. I think he does. I think our rotation's been pretty great, but it's not like we don't have a bunch of games coupled together here coming up. It's not like we don't have a start for a great one like him. Um, he's got a lot of talent and he's got a lot of ability and he's got a lot of experience and a lot of grit. So he fits in pretty nicely. And yeah, I think he does.
For those watching this or listening, you can all see what a great speaker Murph is. And I got to say that your press conferences are fantastic. I try to tune in myself on the package near the end of your game, so I see your press conferences with your kids around you because you are that kind of a speaker. And I remember a quote that you said after the first series where the Yankees just destroyed you with those magic, is it torpedo bats? I don't even
Right,
remember
right.
what they're called anymore. And you said something like, "It's the magician, not the wand," right?
I
So,
was supposed to say the
what?
wizard. I
Okay, it
just
was
showed you.
good. I liked it.
Supposed
What
to say that.
exactly did that mean? And did you feel after that series that the Yankees were unbeatable and you guys were just terrible? I mean,
No, no. I didn't think that. I know our pitching wasn't good that weekend. I mean, when starting pitching can't even get out of that. Both those kids went down with an injury, Savali and Cortez. So Yeah, I mean, Freddie threw great in the first game. We had the first game won. The wind was howling in from center field. Terang hit a ball that's a home run in any other park. Um, Isaac Collins hit a double that was a homer in any other park that would have won us the game. Those two balls hit. Um, but with that being said, and then we had a couple home runs hit against us that were only homers in Yankee Stadium. And but but again, we had the first game won. That would have changed everything in my mind. But then we had two bad starts in a row, and yeah, I mean, everybody's making a big deal out of torpedo bats. And, when you throw 91 down the middle to the New York Yankees on day one, it's going to get clobbered. So with players like Goldschmidt and Bellinger and the big guy, Judge, like, hey, you can't do that. So I didn't think, I knew we had a ton of work to do. And, I was like, "Ugh," on my heels a little bit. But I didn't think it was the torpedo bats for sure. They have really good players.
Murph, you're also, I think, bearing the lead a little there. I think you were down about 8 of your regular pitchers in that series,
Yeah.
which is an amazing story to where you are today because
Right.
the depth of your pitching is so
Right.
good. And one of the reasons is Brandon Woodruff has come back. Like we've watched Sandy Alcantara miss a season from a surgery that usually is a successful surgery, Tommy John surgery, and he's really struggled this year, a former Cy Young winner. Brandon Woodruff missed all of last year after shoulder surgery, which is a trickier procedure historically. And he's come back. It's only been a few starts, but man, the 3 starts have been impressive and helpful to the Dodgers. To the Brewers, who so I have the
Yeah.
Dodgers on my mind because you swept them twice during your 11-game winning streak. Tell us about Woodruff.
Wow. I mean, we've all been in this game a while, and we've all watched pitchers come back from injury. And I watched Woody's rehab starts, and I was concerned. I'm gonna be honest with you. I talked to him a little bit. I tried not to spook him, but I was concerned. I'm like, I don't know if this guy can help us. It was 91. It was this sweeper thing that he's come up with, and I was like, ugh, no change up. And that first day in Miami was one of the biggest surprises. I'll never forget this in my life. Like I was stunned. He walked out there like John Wayne, and it was incredible. And the number was still a 92 and a 93, but the hitters were swinging at it like it was 97. So I can't even tell you. And his presence and his ability just to throw heaters, located heaters, not nibble, just here you go, here you go, here you go. I was blown away by it. Now his second start, his stuff was back to what I saw in the rehab starts, but he still had this demeanor, this presence, and coming at you. His third start, yeah, the other day, again against good clubs. I mean, Seattle can swing it, and he's he was magnificent, and could have kept going. So it's like, yeah, that's just what an example for, you talk about the right guys. What an example for our young pitchers. For Miz to sit there and go, wow, Woody's throwing 92 at the top and he's blowing guys away. What does that mean about the game? That number doesn't mean much. It's who's throwing that number, and how you locate it. And it is what an example. And the guy that hasn't been mentioned that has been a key to a lot of this thing is Freddie Peralta. I mean, this guy has been so consistent in his 20 some starts. It's amazing. He doesn't miss a start, he doesn't miss a day of working. He gets after it. And Quintana being on our team, helping him, just a great acquisition. Like Quintana's the right guy. Him and Freddie have like went toe to toe, and just it's it's been magnificent to see that develop. And then to see our young pitchers like Chad Patrick or Tobias Myers or Miz, these guys, Priester, they look at these guys and saying, this is how you do it, whether it's Freddie or Quintana or Woody. That's development. That's a key to like a good soup. It just, those ingredients work well together.
Well, I foolishly did not believe in the Brewers in spring training. I certainly do now, and I'm wondering how you think you're going to set things up here going toward the playoffs. I know we don't want to say anything to jinx you or anything like that. And is it called Miz or the Miz? Will you be able to have him ready
Yeah,
to go late?
I think
People
so.
always worried about the innings. And the other thing you mentioned, Peralta, who I love, by the way, I love the guy. He was prepared to do the translation for me, be the interpreter one spring when your interpreter was out coaching somewhere at the time. Just a
Um,
great individual. Fastball Freddie, as you call him. He's not going anywhere, right? And is the we
no.
call him the Miz or Miz? Is he going to be okay with the inning situation?
I think so. Yeah, Miz. We had a very abbreviated start last time. We'll stretch it out a little bit. We haven't really stretched him out yet, in terms of, going behind, going over 85 pitches. So I think we'll get maybe to 75, 80 next time. We're going to be smart about it with him. Our bullpen doesn't get enough credit. We've worn them out incredibly. Um, but they've responded, and with the good starts from Freddie and from Woody and from Quintana, always giving us 6 and 7, that really helps the bullpen, as you guys know. Yeah, Miz will be there. He's just got to keep pitching well. He's got to be a pitcher too. Not just blowing 102 once in a while. I mean, because you don't live at 102. And look at the great ones in the game. Look at the Wheelers and the DeGroms, and guys that have that incredible stuff. You have to temper it. The players can time up a jet plane if they know it's coming, and it's just tempering that and understanding pitching a little bit. And Miz has those things to learn. The
Just as
good
a
thing is he knows it. He knows it, and that bodes well.
sorry about that, Murph.
No, no, no problem.
Just as a way to close here, John skipped us all the way to the postseason. The trade deadline is a week away. I'm wondering, how active do you become, Murph? You see your team, like, again, from the outside, looks like you could use maybe a power bat. I get Ortiz is a terrific defender. Do you need a shortstop? It never hurts you. You mentioned your bullpen. It has been very good, but it's been a lot of guys with 35 plus
Um,
outings
45,
already. Yeah.
45.
Uh, do you get do you get involved? Do you think you'll do stuff? And yeah, tell us what you think of the next week for the Milwaukee Brewers.
Yeah, it's real easy as players, as coaches, as I'm sure you guys too. Like, it's real easy to get our head off what we're doing. Like, it really is. You can sit here and go, "Hey, what did the Cubs do today? Hey, what did the Padres do today?" Like, the way we're built, for me, I don't want to lose any of our players. I don't want to go to one of our players and go, "Hey, man, we signed so and so," and that's the part of me that just loves the team and loves the players. Um, but the front office, ownership, they got a plan. They know what they're doing, and I you got to trust them. If I start trying to do their job, now contribute. They always ask, and I don't know if my opinion is worth the crap, but they ask, and they ask, and you know what I go to. Who is this guy? You're interested in this guy? Who is he? Can he fit in this group? Can he understand the average Joes? Does he understand that deal? Does he know how to duck and dip and dodge? Like, you got to be that. And if you don't, that's round peg in a square hole, and kind of detracts. And hey, my buddy's now down in the minor leagues. Like, it doesn't feel great. Now, there is this thing called talent, big time talent. So you better come and show something, because the average Joe's got a way of doing it. So you better wear the uniform right, if you know what I'm saying, figuratively.
Murph, you said at the beginning there's no secret sauce. But whatever the Milwaukee Brewers are doing, I wouldn't be surprised if Quinn Priester ended up being the best pitcher acquired during the season. Hell, I wouldn't be surprised if Andrew Vaughn ends up being the best hitter based on a couple of weeks with you guys. Whatever you're doing there, it's working, and I'm sure that you have a
S-
lot to do with it,
Small,
Murph.
small sample size. Small sample size.
Yeah, yeah.
Know
It's
how
a
the
year and a
analytics
half.
people.
It's a
It's
year and
been
a
two
half,
years.
Murph. Come on.
Hey,
Take
analytics
some
guys will
credit.
always tell you that.
Yeah.
No, analytics guys will always tell you that. Small sample size. So I
Oh,
throw that out there whenever I can. You can't polish a turd, guys. You know what I mean? You just kind of keep going. keep doing what we're doing and try to improve. Like how do we get better? This gets ugly. This gets tense. This gets expectations and all those outside forces come in, and you can't let anything zap your energy. From being on course when the game starts. You can't let anything zap the umpires, the bad calls. Gosh darn it. Like you can't let anything pull you away from that next pitch. And it's a hard concept, and it's mentally so challenging to be that way and not to get involved. And you guys got a job to do, and you make comments and you write things and say things, and it makes people love baseball. But at the same time, for players, you have to just kind of keep your head down. That's why I don't read it. I don't think about it. And what comes after, it's the journey that is the juice. The juice is in the journey. It really is. The juice is in this journey, in this day by day, like off days. I love being with my kids more. I love all the rest that the players get, but I hate off days. Like let's keep going. Like
I think 162 is enough, Murph. And by the way, you have some pretty good polish over there. You've polished pretty well.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And it might not be a completed drink, but it's pretty good juice so far, just for the record.
Not bad.
And anyway, Murph, it has been a year and two-thirds as manager, and it's been an exceptional run under your leadership, stewardship of the Milwaukee Brewers. And John and I always appreciate you joining us on the show.
Well, thanks, guys. I love talking to both you guys, man. You've made me, you remind me a lot of my childhood because, growing up in upstate, I can hear a little East Coast in there. So that,
A little, a little.
yeah, well, a lot actually, guys.
You're nice.
But yeah, that makes it fun. But hungry players make managers, and we got a great coaching staff. So we'll try to keep going. This you feel like you're sometimes you're racing in NASCAR, and I've got an old Pontiac Bonneville, and you're trying to race in NASCAR sometimes, but it's these guys have made it look like a legitimate race car, and I love it.
All right. Well, Murph, it's been a great two-thirds of the season. I know you know it's still a long journey to the finish line, but great job so far. And again, thank you for joining us on the show.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Murph.
Thank you.
John and I, of course, thank Pat Murphy for joining us on the show. John, let's wrap it up with hit or error.
Yeah, I can't decide it as I often can't do. I'm going to give a half a hit, half an error to Major League Baseball. I don't know if you saw the end of that Mets game. I was there. The home plate umpire called three pitches that were, I don't want to say they were a foot outside. That's probably an exaggeration.
They were well outside.
A couple of baseballs outside strikes for Edwin Diaz, just bailing him out when he did not have it. I mean, he hit Taylor, and then he was all over the map and ended up getting rewarded for this, which, he's a great guy. Nice, good for him. But I mean, that was brutal. We've seen that a lot. They are the best umpires in the world, but they still are not too good. So let's get that ABS. I think it's coming next year, right? I mean, nobody's against it, right? Except other than what Boone, did Francona say something against it in spring training? I don't know. I think two people said something against it. Which Boone that's a funny one to me that he doesn't want to correct for wrong. He likes arguing, I guess. But I'm glad it's coming. But boy, that was like Angel Hernandez revisited last night.
Wouldn't it be nice to see Aaron Boone yell at one of his players who doesn't play hard like that? Anyway, like he does at the umpires. John, I don't know if there's a hit or error. I want to talk about it though. I'll give it an error for the general lack of quality starting pitching out there. I know how hard you work. I know you're digging. I know you're probably hearing the same thing. So Sandy Alcantara yesterday pitched 7 innings, gave up one unearned run. It was arguably his best start of the year. And I can't tell you how many people are still telling me he's getting traded in the next week. He's got a devilish 6.66 ERA after the good start yesterday. He's owed $17 million next year. There's a $21 million option the year afterward. I had an executive from one team, John, say to me, this was the term, he's an easy fix. I said, well, that's a hell of a thing to risk in a pennant race. that he's an easy fix. He's been pretty much the worst start. By the way, the second worst ERA in the major leagues for a qualified starter this year is Zach Gallen. We might have the two guys with the worst ERAs get traded in this marketplace for
Right.
there's so little. And by the way, the guy he pitched against yesterday, Zach Gallen, is Dylan Cease. He's out there because the Padres are trying to see if they could get a left fielder and starting pitching depth without too much farm system anymore because they've gone with so much into it. He's got a 4.6 ERA. This is the starting pitching market now. And by the way, I think they're all getting traded.
Don't forget Charlie Morton. I think he's tied with Gallen with a 5.58 ERA. So, yeah, I mean, everybody's trying to build it up in their head like Charlie Morton. Remember how he ended the 2017 World Series, and Alcantara. Remember how he won the Cy Young. And I mean, I love both guys. They're both terrific guys. They both done great in the past, and I think people are trying to convince themselves. To me, I would take seriously. I would take Adrian Hauser, who's got a 1.80 ERA right now for the White Sox, over Alcantara. That would be me. But maybe there's somebody out there. I don't know. Easy fix. The Marlins, for all the Marlins do, they've been pretty good with pitching
They've had a
in their
good year
career.
considering.
If he was an easy fix, they would have fixed him. Maybe he'll be good in the second half. But I'm not trading a top 100 prospect for a maybe with a 6.66 ERA. So I'm with you. Yeah, I mean there aren't a ton of great starters who are going to be traded. I do think his teammate Cabrera might be the best guy who's traded, and he had a nice start the other day as well. At this point, I don't think Cease is going. I don't think Gore's going. I don't think Joe Ryan's going. So, I think people are talking themselves into guys who are not having good years.
So you don't think Cease will be traded?
I don't think so. I know that all the AL East teams have called. The Mets have
The Mets
called.
called
Yeah,
also. Yeah.
yeah, all these teams have called. Um, I think it's a difficult thing to do. Now they can be creative, they can be crazy, as you know. He's been on our show.
AJ.
Maybe they'll figure it out. I think it's a gamble, right? Because Michael King is not coming back until August, right? He'll be back. They're hoping around August 10th. So you don't know on him. Can you trade Cease now and downgrade in the rotation? They've done a nice job piecing together the rotation with much lesser names, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure that'll occur. They do need it. They do need offense, though. I don't know what happened to Jackson Merrill, who I thought was even though he didn't win, I thought he was the rookie of the year last year. He's not hitting. They're not hitting as a team, which is a little bit of a surprise. So they're of course going to be aggressive, but are they going to be that aggressive when they trade Cease? I'm not convinced that they are.
It's trade deadline week, John, but we ain't trading Tommy Hogan, our producer who does such a great job week to week. Please, Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts, please rate and review us. The New York Post YouTube sports page, please give us a view because John is just wearing a great shirt today and you don't want to miss that. And hey, look, trade deadline's coming up, stretch runs coming up. We hope you continue to stick with us on the show with Joel Sherman and Jon Heyman.